This entire tournament, Battlefield of Eternity, has always been the ban. Dragonshire is a common battleground for both of these teams. It's a good, equal battleground to get things started, but that Battlefield of Eternity may come back to haunt Tempo Storm. It just depends how strong Dignitas find themselves on it.
All right, let's get into it then. Game number 1, this is draft 1. North America goes up against Europe as Tempo Storm goes up against Dignitas. The winner moves on to face Tempest. The loser goes out of the tournament.
And Dignitas remove the Genji instantly, not wanting anything to do with that. It has been a menace throughout this tournament, so not surprised there in the slightest.
That's, because Dignitas had such high priority versus
true.
Fnatic with that. Got Genji every single game of that series, and now they ban it. Did they leave something up their sleeves for this match versus Tempo?
Or do they just think that Tempo's draft does not work in terms of running the Genji into it as much as Fnatic's were? Stylistic differences can absolutely come into play here, but either way, it does give Dignitas the Malfurion straight away, which also doesn't so much deny it to June, because June is fantastic on a lot of supports, but it gives Zalia a lot of comfort.
I find this very interesting that they're potentially willing to give the Maiev away in this instance.
Oh, God, yeah.
Well, Tempest have kind of shown the hole in that, right? The hole against Tempo Storm's Maiev. I don't know that Tempo Storm will be willing to run it the same way. They might try it at least once and see if they can be victorious with it, but that Genji is definitely something that's interesting to see from Dig.
I think Tempo Storm always feel the most comfortable when they are in the second rotation, where they can pick up 2 picks as opposed to having to go for that first pick. I mean, we've got so many meta heroes right now that it's really going to be that case of which one do you lock in first. And that's why we keep seeing this affinity towards Malfurion after Malfurion. If that's banned away, maybe the Garrosh. It seems very risky to try and deviate from the norm in that regard. You've got Sam on the Maiev, you've got Garrosh for Caterpillar. Instantly you're opening up with power picks and comfort picks for Tempo Storm.
Comfort picks is absolutely right. They are setting up for, once again, exactly what we expect to see. This hyper-aggressive style. It's on a very Tempo Storm-friendly map, so I am very curious to see how Dignitas will respond to this. They've had a lot of time to do their research, but already they're starting off with a not burst protection-friendly support.
I'm wondering where Dignitas go. We've seen that in the previous series up against Ballistics that Glaurung had this big admiration, right, for the Dahaka. They want to try and play the soak, play the XP game.
Yeah.
And I think up against a team like Dignitas, that's when you really need that to become a priority. The question is, though, in this 2 and 3 pick, do they value Wobby on that? We've seen them play the Blaze as well to try and shut down any burst. That could have value based on what Tempo Storm are threatening so far.
One thing to keep in mind is with this Maiev Garrosh, that's the first time Tempo Storm have ever been able to get that particular duo in all of the bracket stage. Yes, they've gotten Garrosh, or yes, they've gotten Maiev, but they have never been able to pick up both. Tempest kept them from being able to get both of them. So already, I think Tempo Storm feels very good about this. I don't expect that Jaina gets let through along with us as the follow-up damage, but maybe Dignitas is more scared of whatever support follow-up they think is going to be problematic there, or a solo laner trying to see what they can do to make sure that Wubby wins that lane hard. There's a lot of options for bans there, but the Jaina is what I would expect.
The solo laner could be good, but I agree with you that the Jaina could be so impactful, even with the defensive lineup in terms of front lines Dignitas already have, and of course the anti-Warden's Cage lineup with the Bunker and the Johanna Ironskin to open up an exit route. Dignitas trying to directly just counteract the comp of Tempo Storm as opposed to playing around it, as we did see Tempest do a fair amount. But with Tempo Storm, they now have damage options to ban. They're going to stick with Phoenix. Very sensible. Blaze works extremely well with the Phoenix as that setup.
Obviously, you've got these very distinctive styles between Tempo Storm and Dignitas. Tempo, you'd imagine, are going to be looking to try and draft a very aggressive comp to try and find those early games when you go through those rotations of mid lane to bottom, as Dignitas will be looking for that macro pressure. I personally don't think they're going to try and target that solo lane. I feel like they need to try and diminish or, you know, calm down that 4-man rotation that Tempo Storm have. I've got my eyes primarily set on either the Stukov or the Jaina.
The other option here could be Hanzo. The fact is Dignitas have 2/3 of the standard combo of the Johanna, Blaze, and Hanzo. So there could be a pretty decent chance that Tempo might try to steal that away, as it would also be exceptionally good with the Warden's Cage and the Taunt. So if Dignitas are feeling better about just removing it from both of them, then this could be another option for their ban.
I do agree with you. Tempo have been willing to run Hanzo with the Maiev, but it felt like
Yeah, the Jaina did make so much sense.
Exactly. And it felt like the Hanzo just didn't have the same kind of burst follow-up off of the cage, but I don't think Tempo ever thought getting a Maiev and Garrosh opener that they'd get their Jaina. So now we see, do Tempo favor having Lunara again as another slow potential? They've kind of been looking at her as the poor man's replacement to the Jaina because you have the slows and the setup that's better for Maiev and Garrosh. But then again, the burst of that comp with the burst build that Fan's been running, you know, it's been hard for them to get kills.
It's interesting. They've run that same burst build twice now. On both games they have lost, I believe, with it. It's a cool little build with Leaping Strike, which we've been arguing for the entire tournament, along with a little bit of Choking Pollen, but I just can't, it's really struggling to come to bear. So I am very curious about that build in general, and I would maybe prefer to see them go elsewhere towards that Hanzo or towards something similar. But we do see, once again, familiar ground as Glaurung's Dahaka returns.
I feel like it is a necessity. The Hanzo comes in. I was wondering if we're going to see them try and push the boundaries of this Maiev even further, potentially even the Thrall with that Earthquake to try and lock members in place, try to counteract what the bunker can achieve as well. But they are going to stick to the Hanzo. The reliable engage that Fang can start things off with, especially with that Dragon's Arrow, but also the disengage potential of Dignitas, primarily knowing what they do, looking to try and jump into that backline with a Tracer, for example, obviously banned away, but along those kind of lines.
We can't forget, too, that Tempo Storm and how they like to play Dragonshire. Hanzo's very good for that, too. Being able to take the camps rather quickly, effectively, and make sure that they have the solid push in the bottom lane, especially toward the mid game. Once they can get that fort down, that's also key for them.
So with all this incredibly good team fight wombo combo potential from Tempo Storm, what is the damage of Dignitas? In theory, they have leaned very heavily in this tournament on Li Ming. She does have that teleport option, and there she is, which can also get her out of the Warden's Cage. And Falstad comes in as well. They're against the Dahaka, they're against that global. The Falstad gives them the disengage tool with the Mighty Gust. I really like the Falstad as the final pick here.
Yeah, the Falstad can circle or sort of rotate and switch in and out with will be up there in the top lane to either soak for the global or just keep them in the game with that global factor. But also gives them that reliable disengage tool. You know exactly what Tempo Storm are going to be doing. It's very cookie cutter. We've seen it throughout the entire mid-season brawl. So if the fight looks a little bit racy, you turn it around. If it's looking good on your end, or you can isolate a member.
So final supports here. If they want something to wombo with the Maiev, then Garrosh, he's already in the game. Stukov could be a fantastic pickup here. If they want burst potential against the Li Ming, and with that Blaze kind of engage, perhaps an Uther would be more the speed of Tempo Storm. There's not too much AoE damage, so Uther might not have too much trouble. So I'm personally leaning that way, but Stukov's still available. Even Alex Straza if they want their own kind of disengage. And they're going to go with Karazim, put some pressure onto that Li Ming.
Feels inspired from our previous series.
My words, exactly right. I see Stark, he's like, look, I can jump between these lanes and I can do this. And,
Your thoughts, Gilly?
Karazim's a bit of an interesting one, but having the burst heal as well as the area of effect heal should be able to help with that. I think that honestly, we knew what Tempo was going to want. Dignitas let it through, knew what Tempo was going to want. I think that what Dignitas has drafted, they know how Tempo is going to play this out. It's just whether the execution is there for Tempo or whether Team Dignitas has the tools that they need. And I feel like they do have the tools that they need to deal with that.
All right, Skimmy, and I think we're going to be moving on to predictions pretty soon. So if you've got any thoughts and then prediction afterwards, that'd be fantastic.
My thoughts here, well, it is that bread and butter for Tempo Storm. They're going to finish it off with the Karazim. I feel like it's going to be a seven-sided strike, personally, for the fact that they can try and find an isolation with what? Maiev, Garrosh, Dahaka. They pull you in, cool, you're taken out of that team fight, bang, you're looking to try and get that quick kill. And if they can do that in a timely fashion before a Gust can even come out, or even the Wave of Force potentially, they are going to find great success. But are we going to jump into predictions right now? Because can I lead this segment in
You
very
can
smoothly?
do what you do.
Oh, look at that production value. I'm going for Dignitas. I feel like they got what they need. Don't give me that smile.
That was weird. All right, Gilly.
Yes, Tempo Storm. They get what they want. I think that they've got it. It's an important map for them, so I'll give it to Tempo Storm.
Okay.
I think, as Gilly said, execution is going to be very important, but I think Dignitas have prepared for this match very well with what they have drafted, and I trust their execution. I'm going with Dignitas.
Okay. Perfect. All right, so there you go. And I will be going with Dignitas as well as we continue this on. Actually, I think they have a really good draft. And I think that if anything, that Fnatic, as we see the percentages there as well, if anything that I could take away from Fnatic going up against Tempo Storm in the groups, it's that I think EU steps it up just that little bit extra here. because of the EU versus NA thing. So we shall see. I'm just rubbing salt in the wound slightly as we continue this on. There's going to be a lot of that for Gilly. I'm so sorry. Let's head over to the commentary team as well, who's going to be bringing you this series. The perfect duo to bring you this series as Gilly walks away from the desk. Gentlemen, where are your chips placed?
Just a quick question, what is this NA versus U thing you're talking about?
We're here for good matches. That's it, man.
I was supposed to have Skimmy.
And with that, whose side are you on?
Dignitas.
Caldor thinking, new emote coming out soon.
There you go.
I mean, I'm not biased here at all, so I'm going into this with an open mind.
Wow, the first time in history. Well, thank you very much. Let's get it going. Have fun, boys.
God, we love 2018 Caldor. Positive, giving chances to teams that are losing, and look at how unbiased you are. Look at you, you've grown so much, Caldor. I'm so
Hashtag no
proud of
bias.
you.
There we go. Guys, this is going to be an awesome one. We have finally the playoff match that we were looking for. We have the Intercontinental Clash here once again. NA going up against Europe as to their left after taking down Ballistics. We have Sam on Maiev, Caterpillar on Garrosh, Glorang on Dehaka, Fan on Hanzo, June on Karazim. Ladies and gentlemen, Tempo Storm!
On the right side, in the red, Zelia playing Malfurion, JPL on Johanna, Wubby on Blaze, Poik on Li Ming, Snitch on Falstad, it's Dignitas!
Tempo Storm played absolutely amazing in the group stage. They took down Ballistics 2 times. They had to play the tiebreaker against them, and now they also faced off against them in the playoffs. And at that point, they move on to face Dignitas. And Dignitas having trouble against Fnatic in the last series.
I feel like Tempo Storm is a team that runs on emotions, and right now emotions are very high for them. With that big win on Ballistics, Dignitas will be doing their best to try and squash that excitement from Tempo Storm. But with them having a draft like this, coming in with Garrosh, Maiev, and Hanzo, Tempo Storm has everything they need to get a big victory on one of the EU giants.
It's really interesting to me with what you just said that we have also Dragonshire as the first map in this series. And Gilly pointed it out on the desk. This is a fantastic map for Tempo Storm. But it's also an amazing map for Dignitas. And Dignitas in the European League has had a 9-0 track record here. They were undefeated by any other European team. So this is for them also a very comfortable map to play. And if they can start with a victory against Tempo Storm, I feel a lot of the shakiness that we've seen against Fnatic will be put to rest.
A comfortable map, but also comfortable compositions for both of our teams. Tempo Storm has the ability to find a target and run it over. Between the engage with Hanzo, Maiev finding the tethers, Garrosh tossing targets, and Karazim delivering the final blow, especially in the late game. Dignitas will have to play around that. But they've got great stuff for it. Look at it. They got Blaze here when it comes to wave clear. They have Falstad, which is that global factor, which we've seen time and time again do well on Dragonshire.
You're absolutely correct on that. And I couldn't be more hyped for this one. First game here as Cattle is put under pressure. And the impressive part is also, we have seen Tempo Storm come back from that 0-2 against Ballistics. Going for a reverse sweep, it requires so much from you, mentally, simply having the ability to take it game by game and still believe in victory, and that's what Tempo Storm did. And now they're going up here against Dignitas on one of their best maps.
Already trying to fight for the shrine here. JPL coming for a flank from the side. Condemn comes out. Cattle by himself. He tosses Cattle away. JPL coming forward and trying to help out with the kill, but Cattle able to sneak out thanks to heals and, of course, that armor.
Cattle on one of his best heroes here, and he's able to survive, but Wubby has taken the top. And he is going up against that Dehaka blade that we talked about earlier. So many great comfort picks on Tempo Storm, by the way. And this is definitely something that will give them a lot of hope for this first game. But here in the mid lane, Sam, pressure, barely able to escape as JPL and Snitch were trying to go for the kill.
Twice now. Members from Tempo Storm able to get away with a sliver of their health. And you were talking about comfort picks. We got to talk about Glorang on Dehaka. He's been playing it throughout this entire tournament. Yeah. And it's been a hero that he has honestly impressed me on. There were moments in the past where you would look at Glorang and see him as a weakness. Hang on here, though. As Snitch gets tethered in, gets pulled in, able to barrel roll away. Oh my gosh, already lightning between both these teams. No one's fallen victim yet, but it's gotten close multiple times.
No kills, 3 minutes into the game, and Snitch was close there. But Falstad players in general have really impressed me here at this Mid-Season Brawl. Nick in particular comes to mind on Method's side, who was surviving throughout all the games he played it, no matter who he went up against. But there's definitely a priority for Tempo Storm. Again, going for Snitch here, jumping on him immediately, but Sam is also receiving a lot of damage as Tempo Storm walks away from the engage.
Dignitas really showing the patience there when when it comes to that tether, making sure not to get caught out. But look in the top lane here as Glaurung goes 1v1 against Wubby. Wubby goes in for the fight, pulls up the jet propulsion, gonna be the immediate burrow, but look at this body blocking. Glaurung able to come through, but Zaylia comes in trying to get the root, but Glaurung sneaks away.
They got moves away from that 3 versus 1 gank attempt, and that's a lot of resources that Dignitas just spent at their top lane. A lot of time they used for it, but it also highlighted how strong Falstad can be when he doesn't have to hold the top lane, when he can fly in and turn it into a 2-for-1.
Also can't deny Darkswarm on Dahaka being able to seep on through. Usually when it blazes in front of you, it's very hard to get by because of how big his model is, but Darkswarm allows the ability for you to go ahead and pop that W and sneak on by, and that's why Glaurung was able to get out before he got rooted. 7 1/4 and a 7 1/4 in terms of experience for both of our teams. Gonna have a little bit more wave clear coming out for Falstad, but here's a fight in the top as Storm is thrown forward. He gets the tether, and Snitch is actually the first kill of the game.
Tempo Storm going in with the first blood, taking Falstad down. Fantastic setup again by Caterpillar, who made the play possible, tossing them forward and making sure that they were in range for the tether. Great kill here by Tempo Storm against Dignitas, and leading the game now with a 1-0 and taking some of the map control back.
And they're wanting to make a play here to grab the dragon. They already have Maiev in position here in the middle lane, but sadly, Cattle being a little bit too low on health can't grab the point, quite consistently poking through and make sure to keep him low.
Snitch already back to business, flew into the mid lane here, trying to put some pressure on the Psalm, but up at the top lane, it's once again Wubby in that one-on-one matchup that we're seeing here against Glaurung, recapturing the shrine and putting the pressure onto the mid lane, where Tempo Storm is now busy trying to prevent Dignitas from grabbing the first DK of the game.
Now, this is a pretty typical strategy. Whenever you grab both shrines, you actually move to a mercenary camp because you know your opponent is going to put their priority on the control of the dragon. And we saw that from Tempo Storm. They put 3 people in the middle to start controlling that area. Dignitas grabs the Giants and gets that echoing on the bottom side. But Tempo Storm, knowing this, goes the extra step themselves and has Hanzo grab their own Giants.
Tempo Storm by now also with that slight lead in experience. It's a minor one, but it's definitely there, and an early level 10 can give you that moment of opportunity that you need. JPL going up against Cattle, and Psalm looking for a chance to maybe get that kill against Maiev. Kettle again with Warbreaker stun. Up to the top though, the 1 versus 1 battle between the offlaners.
And it's going to be a 1v1 that will last for an eternity, it feels like, with Blaze being able to stay through, Glaurung himself trying to land a couple of tongues. Here comes Falstad, but it was a bait. Psalm comes from the side, he has a tether, trying to grab Stitch here. Psalm able to get on back, and it looks like there won't be another kill here as Dignitas attempts to grab control of the top, but Glaurung with that feeding frenzy there on level 7 continues to get drags. He goes for the isolation, he wants to kill.
He definitely wants to kill, but Snitch is there. The one reason why Snitch didn't even move in is he wasn't sure if Maiev still had the fountain up or not, but Psalm had to move all the way back to the Nexus, so without the vision, Snitch stayed in lane, but once Dahaka started to make his move, Falstad started to help out Blaze immediately.
10's online here. Mighty Gust can be important for Falstad. Being able to stop the engage of Tempo Storm will be a strong tool in the arsenal here for them. Dignitas also doing their best here to control the middle lane, but Psalm setting up for the dragon. With a little bit of ignition on the oil, we're going to have a delay from Wubby.
10 versus 10, and immediately after the Heroics ability kick in, we have Dignitas starting to move down to the bot lane, but Fan is there and forces Poik back as there's still the pressure against the European team. Tempo Storm looking for the middle, looking for maybe even a kill, and trying to get the first Dragonite.
Falstad using that global, grabs top here, try and slow down the grab on the shrine. There we go, they finally get it. Starting to fall behind a little bit of experience, but nothing too much. Again, pretty darn close. A wave or two should be able to clean that up pretty easily here as Glaurung once again grabs the top lane. And the Night Camps would be the next tool for our team to try and push in these lanes.
Yeah, the rotations are still happening here, and you talked about the Night Camp, and there it is. But Cattle spies that out, completes the quest actually as he scouts the camp. And Cattle and also Psalm are thinking about moving over here. The battle at the top lane is still continuing though. We pointed that out earlier. Glaurung now going for Wubby once again, but he's not the only one. Here comes June and Psalm. It's another quick gank with JPL attempting to help out, and he's able to pull it off. He uses the Blessed Shield and buys Wubby that wiggle room that he needs to escape.
But they had to use heroics just to get away from a gank there. That's 2 heroics down. Now Bunker's a low cooldown. It'll be back in about 30 seconds, but Tempo Storm didn't have to use anything. Now they can try and force a fight. Remember, they still have that Dragon's Arrow. They have Garrosh. They can force fights if they can find an angle. Dignitas needs to make sure they don't give it to him.
The one advantage for Dignitas is at that top lane now, the Night Camp. This is going to push quite heavily, especially if Blaze can set it up properly. So that's what they're going to try and do here as Glaurung attempts to move in. It's a very low kill game at this point. 8 minutes in, 8.5. We haven't seen a Dragonite yet. We've seen only a single kill, and again Psalm trying to make that a double. trying to go for JPL, but so far Dignitas is holding the middle here against Tempo Storm.
This is a point that we actually haven't touched on yet, but Falstad and the rest of Dignitas don't mind if there's no fights breaking out right now. They're farming up Season Marksman, that level 1 talent. Right now sitting at a total of 23 stacks as we head towards level 13, which is when that Giant Killer can come online if they want to try and burn down tanks.
Yeah, Snitch is definitely in a position where he is happy if he can just farm a couple of stacks here, at least for now in the early stages of this match. But level 13 is, of course, another approach where teams could start to look for these engagers. And Tempo Storm is still holding on to that tiny lead in experience that we talked about earlier.
Snitch constantly being the target. There goes a tether, pulls him from the turrets, but JPL steps up well, being the great team player he is, making sure that there's no way for Falstad to get in trouble. So he's there and nice and safe. 13 hits here for Tempo Storm as both shrines are grabbed for Dignitas.
Tempo Storm has a heavy commitment towards the mid lane. That's where most of the time we see a tri-lane for them. And it allows them to rotate quickly down to the bottom or up to the top, depending on where they are needed. They're trying to set up these ganks against Blaze, or once that Falstad moves in to get a kill. But talking about kills, Maiev goes down as Dignitas collapses onto the mid lane and takes some down.
They collapse a 4 and they get a kill, and they'll look to grab on the bottom lane. Fan has to back up immediately here. Snitch goes in for a little bit of damage, but he's going to hit the turret instead. And now the bottom shrine should be grabbed, as we also have the ability for Dahaka to come in. Glarong's on his way. Barrel comes out, and Snitch will use a mighty gust to make sure he won't get picked off.
Snitch absolutely on point here. Good reflexes by him as we see the arrow moving through and Dahaka burrowing in, but a quick gust is allowing him to move away from the situation here. It frees up Wooby at the top lane. Blaze has a lot of space right now.
Blaze on his way here to the bottom. Possible fight could break out for Dignitas. JPL thinking about moving in with a Condemn. No Blessed Shield for 15 seconds, but they still have that bunker in case the fight is to break out. Tempo Storm finally grabbing control of this bottom lane, but they lose out on the shrine, and they'll have to rotate to the middle to make sure that Wubby is unable to grab the dragon. Oh, look at this in the top lane. Psalm just barely getting it.
Yeah, Psalm is going for it. Garrosh even scouting out the bottom night camp as they weren't quite sure where Dignitas was. Another great example of how Dignitas in this case played with vision to make sure that Tempo Storm couldn't get a good read on what the intention of the European team was. And talking about intentions, Glorang has no intention whatsoever giving that shrine up without a fight.
Continuing the 1v1 as a Wubby will shell away. Doesn't do too much damage here, but it is quite annoying. The middle lane, Maiev is thinking about rotating the top side, but Dignitas sees that. They're gonna put some damage on top of Maiev, trying to even lock her down. There goes some blow up. A palm comes out, but they stop it, but Psalm is able to escape.
Wow, the palm not triggered. Psalm still moving out. Great play by him. And in the meantime, Fan at that bot lane, recapturing the shrine, making sure that Dignitas doesn't capture the Dragon Knight. We're 11 minutes in and we haven't seen a single DK taken yet.
So far, these teams have been evenly matched. 15 and 15 in experience, 1-1 in terms of kill. No dragon, as you mentioned, but Wubby might be one to fall here on the top, trying to make a play. Use the jet propulsion to go for the escape. JPL comes in, brings out the blind to make sure that Kerosene can't deliver a punch for a kill. Wubby trying to escape. He gets a sustain, and he might get out. But here comes Garrosh from the bottom, though. Fan gets traded out.
Blaze goes down, but so does Hanzo. Once again, an attempt to go for JPL. In this case, he doesn't have the Iron Skin anymore. Johanna is low, and she falls. JPL is down as Tempo Storm takes the top lane double kill.
A 2-for-1 in favor of Tempo Storm. The fort in the bottom took a little bit of damage, and Dignitas is doing everything they can to slow down the rotation from Cattle, who's wanting to get on top of that shrine. In fact, Dahaka is already here. So Cattle is taking this rotation, to zone away Dignitas. Tempo Storm might get the first dragon. Psalm's already on it, and there it is.
DK #1 in the game for Tempo Storm. Great choice by Dahaka. Great play by Glorang to immediately go down to the bot lane. Dignitas was zoning a rotation, but the global helped Tempo Storm to capture the bottom shrine, and that was an easy Dragon Knight afterwards with the 2 kills that they accomplished. Now it's on Tempo Storm to get value out of the objective.
Tempo Storm looking to open up the map. They grab the turrets here in the middle and immediately beeline towards that bottom lane, even grouping up as multiple members here. Dahaka will be floating to the middle. Rushstalker will be up pretty darn soon, so he doesn't mind soaking while Falstad does the same. Dignitas setting up for defense and shelling away on that dragon, but there's still half a health bar.
The 2 teams that took #1 spots in the representative regions going toe-to-toe here. We have 16 on both sides, but Tempo Storm, with the help of the Dragon Knight, is starting to get a slight lead here. Dignitas still with a decent defense as the fountain falls and the Dragon Knight starts to put the pressure onto the fort itself.
Dragon Knight gets cleaned up. Psalm goes ahead and heads up for the retreat. Wubby starting to move forward here. They drops a little bit of oil. JPL comes in with the Blessed Shield. It will get cleansed out as June lands that level 16. Same time, Cattle continuing to kite away.
June definitely playing an absolutely fantastic tournament. He himself was actually not happy with his performance against Ballistics, but if you look at his plays throughout the entire tournament here, he was definitely one of the top supports and played incredible games where he had such a high impact. Glorong with an attempt of a cheeky play, but now the jet propulsion attempt from Whoopi to lock him down. Burrow being used to trade as well. The arrow comes in, and so does Caterpillar.
Caterpillar goes in, Snitch able to barrel roll away, Cattle getting low, Cattle gets picked off, June will be next, and we're getting resets as Point shows his Li Ming.
Dignitas goes in with a triple kill, takes them down, but what a back and forth. First, the gust to make sure that Dehaka cannot burrow away. Then Hanzo's arrow flies in. Caterpillar on Garrosh tries to make it a play, and Dignitas collapses onto Tempo Storm, uses the choke point to take them apart.
We spiked in kills in the last couple of minutes, and Dignitas is looking to open up the map themselves. Top lane gets broken down here. Turrets will be the main focus for them, but Glorong already on the way to slow down that grab, even moving in for a little bit of a tongue here as Snitch decides to continue keep pushing in. Look at the experience, though, as Dignitas gets those 3 kills. It jumps up by half a level, almost 3/4.
Poik at the bot lane takes down the fort with the help of the Siege Giant Cam, just completely barreling down on those structures to the top lane. Snitch trying to do the same thing. Whoopi is there. He's always that anchor point for Snitch right now. They know that Tempo Storm wants to collapse on the bird whenever they can, but with Blaze in the vicinity, there's very little that Tempo Storm can do.
For those at home, Season Marksman has been finished up. We're at a total of 41 stacks with a Giant Killer, and he's going to start hitting like a truck, especially on Dehaka and Garrosh. So watch for Falstead to work in those auto attacks. Tempo Storm will have to make sure that he is a priority in every single fight. But as you mentioned, Wubby should be there. Also Zelia with the roots to make sure that Falstead is never picked off. Now as Dignitas moves towards level 20, Tempo Storm could be looking for a fight here. I don't know if they'll be able to find it though, as Dignitas is playing very reserved.
Yeah, Tempo Storm is also playing it pretty laid down right now. They're actually waiting for a trap here. They have Dehaka in the brush, they have Kerosene next to him, they're waiting for someone to overstep. But Dignitas is moving in past at this point. They're really trying to also hide vision, both of the teams do. And Dignitas, of course, they want to avoid fights, they want to get that level 20 before they go in, but they're still forcing Tempo Storm's hand. Good barrel roll by Snitch, dodging Caterpillar on his Garrosh, and at the bot lane, with another camp taken, there's more pressure onto the lane against the keep itself this time.
That was close though. Cattle tried to get the stun off of a minion, and he did get it, just the groundbreaker a little bit too late. Dignitas about to hit that 20 as Tempo Storm finally hits level 19. Dignitas starts to get a little bit more expressive on the map, starting to stand up here in the middle as they are willing to take a fight now.
You can really tell how much is on the line here. Both of these teams playing such a safe game. We see so very few engages, but all of them are insanely explosive as we see immediate kills, focuses, and good coordination for both of them. And once again, down here, the attempt to delay the objective. Level 20 is there for Dignitas. They have the Storm talents, and Snitch is going for that Dragonite this time. And here comes Team Dignitas as they take the lead in that game with a DK, the Storm talent advantage, and a push through the bot lane.
And they still have a large window to make a play. And I want you to look at Li Ming as well, level 20, picking up repulsion here. And we've seen in the past that Poik will make a play to snipe somebody. In fact, he's done it in the past against Tempo Storm. Storm in particular has experienced that. So we'll see if Dignitas is able to find some kills here as they start to siege upon Tempo Storm's keep.
Wind tunnel taken out by Falstad. Snitch waiting a long time until he made the choice here. Whoopi with the engage, the jet propulsion. It's not hitting though. He doesn't get the stun, but they definitely get the damage onto the keep as Dignitas is now trying to open up that bot lane.
That keep is getting lower and lower. They continue to siege away, but Glorong on the backside is threatening the idea of going in for a fight the moment that 20 hits. Here it is for Tempo Storm. Will they decide to engage? Glorong trying to sneak away as Poik puts damage on top of him.
And June is ready every time an engage happens. Once more Whoopi with the jet propulsion attempt, but the immediate cleanse comes out as Kerosene dashes in with a cleansing touch. Dignitas now on the way back. They have taken the keep. They have the advantage, but here's the Storm talent.
Warded cage.
Storm. Li Ming is down. The insta-kill against Poik. The counter-kill attempt by Dignitas is successful as Caterpillar falls. Garrosh is dead and the fight continues.
The dragon keeps hammering away, but Zelia's low on health. Zelia goes in for the bolt, and he gets a Twilight Dream. He's cutting away. He is still alive with a Moonfire. Finally, he gets picked off. Glorong comes in with a tongue. He'll hit Wubby on the side, but Zelia is already out here. There is no healer available. Dignitas has to retreat.
Tempo Storm is on the hunting spree right now. They're going in. The wind tunnel comes out, but JPL is on the run. Ironskin not ready, but with a good angle that Snitch used here, they might just be able to walk away. Not so quick though. Saar moves in, he gets cleansed as the counter initiation starts. Ironskin is being popped by JPL. Johanna still on the way back. Wooby with one oil spill after another, trying to stop the onslaught. But here comes June once more, popping the 20. JPL on the move back, and once more we have Maiev going straight in, going for the tether, but the bunker is ready.
Fan keeps poking away, but is unable to get the kill, and 3 from Dignitas are able to retreat when it's all said and done. A couple kills on Dignitas' side, but they get the keep. They have the catapult pressure, and they haven't lost anything on their side.
But once again, Tempo Storm shows that you cannot count them out by any means. They see a chance and they take it. They get their kill. That insta blow up against Li Ming just set Dignitas already behind in that fight, and Tempo Storm could have easily made that another 2-3 kills here. But the only additional one that they could grab was the one against Malfurion, and a lot of that was because of the cooldown of Bunker and of course Snitch's play with the Wind Tunnel.
No matter how the series unfolds, I think anyone from North America can be proud of this team. Tempo Storm has made a statement for themselves and the region. Being here in this matchup against Dignitas is a statement in itself. Now, of course, as they continue to move through here, we're still in game number 1. Dignitas continues to have to be careful because Tempo Storm, as you just mentioned, has showed themselves to be lethal. Now it's all about map control as we're setting up for night camps, but the Shrines activating in 25 seconds will be the big hurrah for our teams.
Now, another problem, of course, is that Snitch is getting more and more damage on his auto attacks. He's sitting at 14-9 stacks right now, and this is going to continue throughout the game. But it's not the only thing that starts to scale here. It's also the power of the Dragonite. In 20 minutes into the game, the next objective is going to be crucial, especially for Tempo Storm. If Dignitas grabs that Dragonite, they will move through that bot lane and end the game.
Someone that I'm looking at for these fights is actually Glarong and Dahaka. With the pickup of Contagion at level 20, if there's a bunker and everyone from Dignitas pops out of it, Contagion can actually be a nuisance and spread to 3 to 4 members. So Dignitas in these fights have to be aware of that, and they have to be aware of where exactly Glarong is in fights. For now, the global game continues to tick. Dignitas holding the top lane, and with Blaze floating around, they're controlling.
Exactly. Blaze is actually anchoring that top quite nicely, and he's making sure that Falsa had a bit of an easier time here and knows what's coming. So keeping vision, also going straight for the wave clear. Once more Snitch coming in, getting a few more points for the stacking process on the season marksman. The top fort is already under pressure thanks to the camp that they took.
Constant poke coming in for Tempo Storm, threatening the idea of coming in and forcing a fight. You see groundbreakers being tossed, possible teleports here for Psalm as well, but nothing being taken yet as Dahaka has to deal with that top lane that was pushed in and killed a fort earlier. Meanwhile, Wubby grabs the bottom shrine, and we'll have both shrines controlled by Dignitas as Tempo Storm will try to grab the top side.
Yeah, they have Maiev in position, and that is just in time. Both of the teams on level 22. Falstad still racking up these extra points. He's sitting on 55 right now on his extra auto attack damage. We're seeing still JPL moving away here, and Falstad coming in too. Glorang on the way with the drag, gets the Tong. No follow-up just yet, but Tempo Storm is rotating in.
Tempo Storm is rotating in, but Dignitas is right behind them as well. Dignitas has set up a couple of traps, but so far, Hanzo has been pivotal for Tempo Storm, continuing to poke and also reveal vision, showing where Dignitas is. They can't find the angle, they can't find the moment to move in and get a pick on Tempo Storm. They have to wait for them to initiate the fight.
Early iron skin by JPL as they are moving in. Wooby once more with the jet propulsion. It doesn't hit though, but definitely the Li Ming shots they are hitting, and Adelaide is low. Glorang comes in with the isolation, is trying to make the play here, but Snitch is now trying to turn this around. He has the auto attack damage against the tanks. He has the giant killer, and they're going in. The wind tunnel comes through as Maiev drops the cage. Psalm is in trouble here, and they're still moving away. Dignitas fighting for every single inch of the mid lane.
Dignitas is broken out of the cage, and now they can put some damage on Glarong, and they attempt to blow him up. He's getting lower and lower. Glarong with the palm tries to live, but Kata will have to save him, toss him away, but Tempo Storm is bruised and battered.
Catapults on the core in the meantime. The shields are gone, and so are the hit points dropping faster and faster. Catapults 22 minutes into the game are hurting 55% on Tempo Storm's core, and the pressure continues down to 51 as Dignitas moves into the middle, and they're about to grab that Dragonite. They get the DK, and how can Tempo Storm stop this?
I don't know if they can. This is a game-winning dragon picked up from Dignitas. They have to fight behind them and try to poke them down. Fan already flinging arrows, getting damage on top of that Dragon Knight, but not too much yet. Tempo Storm steps up. They're threatening the idea of a fight.
They have to step out. They have to do it now. Their core is down to 50%. There's just no way that Dignitas is going to stop this. They're going in. The cooldowns are coming back. We have Falstad with a win as well. Here comes the attack. Falstad goes down, but the DK moves towards the core.
That's right. The DK going straight for the core, and it gets with the shields pretty darn easily. Tempo Storm has to come back and defend, but down to 46%, down to 41%. The Dragon Knight is shelling away. It's full on health. Dignitas looks like they have done it as they get the first win against Tempo Storm.